Johnny Cash was arrested in 7 places, but he only wrote a song about one of those places. Hi everybody, and welcome to the World of Micah. Today we are going to be here in Starkville, Mississippi, where we're going to be talking about some Johnny Cash history. On May 10th, 1965, Johnny Cash performed a concert here at the Mississippi State University. Later on, he would go and check himself into a hotel, become restless. Searching for cigarettes, he was arrested for picking flowers. According to Johnny Cash, he was picking flowers. It's gonna be a ton of fun. We're gonna be walking around Starkville, Mississippi today, trying to find a few of the spots. And this is also the spot that inspired the song Starkville City Jail. Now before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button. It's free. It'll keep you updated with my latest video. If you would like to support my channel, please visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/worldofmicah. We're donating $1 a month. Can fund episodes just like this. Now, let's take a closer look. Welcome to Mississippi State University, founded in 1878, but on May 10th, 1965, Johnny Cash performed a concert here, I'm guessing for the students. After his concert, he met with a girl whose father was a local disc jockey here in Starkville, Mississippi. So the story goes, Sarah invited Johnny Cash to an after party at her house. Johnny agreed to go, kind of probably as a favor to her father. Probably played some of his music here in Starkville, and that's where we're headed to next. The subdivision where Johnny Cash went to the after party, leading up to those moments in the wee hours of the morning where he was arrested for picking flowers. Right here off of Highway 12 on Willow Road, you can see the sign Long Meadow, established in 1959. In 1965, Johnny Cash came down here and went into the subdivision right down the road, where he went to a party at Sarah Matthews' family home. Could not find any information about Sarah Matthews' house or anything, but that was where Johnny Cash went to like a little after party get together. After the party, packed his things up and went to his hotel, which we are heading to now. Our next stop is right off of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Right over here on the right, the University Motel. This is the motel that Johnny Cash stayed in. And this is also where he got a little restless and decided to take a walk. So I'm here at the University Motel. The ladies were super nice to let me drive in and get a picture of the door. If they would have opened the door, they would have had to charge me for a night's stay. Although it wouldn't have been a bad idea to stay in the same room that Johnny Cash stayed in, maybe one day. But this is the room right here, room number 22. Plaques right there, Johnny Cash, May 11th, 1965. I'm guessing he stayed 2 evenings because the concert was on May 10th, 1965. But according to the neighbors right over here, nothing has changed on the inside. The paneling and everything is exactly how it was when Johnny Cash stayed here. And the interesting thing is, he stepped out of his room, walked right down the street, started walking down Highway 182 there, and that was where he was picked up for picking flowers. And the crazy thing is, across the street from the University Motel is the jailhouse, the Starkville City Jail that he was talking about in the song. So the next time you're in Starkville, Mississippi, try and see if you can stay here at the University Motel, and you can stay exactly where Johnny Cash stayed, in room 22. So in the wee hours of the morning, Johnny Cash became restless. He wanted to go out and search for cigarettes. This was around the time of Johnny Cash's life where alcohol and drugs were definitely a hot topic in his life. So he left his hotel, started walking down the street right behind me, and somewhere along this road is where the police officer pulled up, gave him kind of a hard time, and they booked him for being drunk in public, or as Johnny Cash would later put in his song, he referred it to as picking flowers. I'm sure he was picking flowers, but according to the police officer, he was under the influence. Somewhere around in this area is where Johnny Cash was arrested. Now, I've read several different stories. Some people say it was on Main Street. A lot of people say it was right here on Highway 182. But Johnny Cash isn't here to really tell us the true story, so. But for good old Johnny Cash, I'll pick a flower here in Starkville. But remember, they're bound to get you because they've got a curfew, and you go to the Starkville City Jail. You go to the Starkville City Jail. Now straight ahead is the Oktibbeha County Jail. There's no such thing as a Starkville City Jail. That's just what he called this county jail here in his song. He spent the night in that jail, and the fine for what he did was $36 and a night in jail. The story goes he was so mad he kicked the wall, broke one of his toes, pulled his boot off, handed it to the guy who was sitting in the cell with him and said, "Here's a gift. I'm Johnny Cash." Johnny Cash spent the night inside that building right there for picking flowers. So 6 hours later, Johnny Cash would wake up in his room, which would be May 11th, 1965, which is why the plaque says May 11th, 1965. He had breakfast at the University Motel, collected his things, and he was on his way. Johnny Cash ended up writing a song entitled Starkville City Jail. I'll put a link down below so you guys can click on that and listen to the song. It tells the entire story of that evening of May 10th, 1965. Kind of crazy. Johnny Cash comes into town, Starkville, Mississippi, to play a show, goes to a party, gets a little restless, looking for cigarettes, decides to take a walk. Police officer had no idea, probably could care less of who he was at the time. And they booked him for $36. It was $36 and a night in jail. They ended up releasing him 6 hours later. And I believe they only charged him about 15 bucks. Johnny Cash would later on, after he had passed on, be pardoned by the city of Starkville, Mississippi during a festival, the Johnny Cash Flower Pickin' Festival. And his daughter Roseanne Cash would actually be here to perform at the festival. It's kind of crazy. History was changed, but Starkville still holds on to that history of Johnny Cash. They still hold on to that story. While I was at the University Motel, some of the guys came out and talked to me about it. Still blows their mind that happened here in Starkville, Mississippi. Well, I think today's adventure is over, which means it's time to say goodbye. But if you enjoyed today's episode, give me a big thumbs up. Like I said earlier, the link to Johnny Cash's song Starkville City Jail is down below. Give it a listen, and the next time you're here in Starkville, Mississippi, visit the University Motel, where you can take a photo in front of that door where Johnny Cash once stayed. You can also see the jailhouse where he stayed. It's kind of cool, following the steps of Johnny Cash in 1965. All my links are down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow on a brand new episode. And remember, they're bound to get you because they've got a curfew, and you go to the Starkville City Jail. You go to the Starkville City Jail. Stay weird. Goodbye.